I don't listen to audiobooks much, but like I feel like one thing, and this is not a bad thing, but just like a lot of the narrators definitely sound older than like way older than the
Hmm.
characters, which like I think I was trying to listen to Crave. You guys heard of that book? Have you all heard of
Yeah.
that one? It I did not make it very far through it, but yeah. So, but like the characters are all teenagers, and it was like a significant like, and it wasn't bad. Like I tried to push past it, but like the difference was like too great for me. But yeah. So I don't listen to very many. Yours and Dana's is like that's like the extent.
So speaking of audiobooks, we buddy read this book, Rebecca. We were going to have you on the podcast earlier, but I'm such a slow reader. We all read it together. It was beautiful.
Yes, we did.
But I finished the book by listening to the audiobook
Mm.
version, and I listened to the version that was on Spotify, just like whatever is
Mm.
included in the subscription. And the narrator sounded so much older because I think of this character as a very like not a juvenile character, but she's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
immature. She's naive. And I can understand having an older narrator because we are, like last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is like a retrospective, but it really to me didn't fit what I would have cast for the book.
Yeah, so I liked the 19 that's why the 1941 I felt like it did a good job showing how naive she was and how innocent she
Mm-hmm.
was. So I thought that one really hit that one better than the 2020 version. So I thought that one did a really good job of like I was instantly like sympathetic to her, loved her, was just like all in for the next or the new Mrs. De Winter. So yeah, I was all in for it.
Yeah.
That was a great portrayal for me.
So shall we introduce you?
Surely, surely.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Sarah,
I'm Nania.
and this is Horror Slash Stories. Today, we are going to be talking about Daphne du Maurier's 1938 Gothic novel, Rebecca, and its 1940 film adaptation by Alfred Hitchcock. Joining us to examine these works is our dear friend, the incredibly talented Kate Raven. Kate Raven writes over-the-top dark romance novellas, and you will find a lot of obsessive/possessive behavior, red flags, chasing, and feral men in her books. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. So, do you consider yourself a horror lover, and what has your relationship been to the horror genre as a whole?
I actually never really watched horror until I met you all. So I have really never seen anything before that. So pretty much everything I've watched has been with you. But now I really enjoy. I didn't know there was such a because I thought of horror as just like a slasher genre. Like and so I
Mhm.
like don't really have that much interest in extreme gore, so I never was really drawn to the genre. But now that I've seen the variety, I really enjoy gothic and folk horror, and those are my favorites. Anything that's like a vibey horror, I really enjoy. Although, would you consider is the
That's
Labyrinth
cool.
considered horror? Do you think?
Horror adjacent.
I'd say it's like gothic fantasy, maybe, or like dreamcore, sort of like
Yeah,
very surreal, but
yeah,
definitely
you.
horror adjacent.
Yes, because I was like, I don't. Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, because I wasn't frightened in
Yeah.
it, but it has some of those same like the hit some of the same I guess like notes maybe, but yeah, that would make sense. But, yeah, so I like
Mhm.
anything that's like not pinky up horror. That sounds like condescending, but like anything that's like a really like the sense of place and setting is really strong, and the yeah the vibe when the vibes are there for gothic and folk, that's my favorite. So, and the set when the set is beautiful like that too. Like the set design is so important to me, and like in the portrayal of the gothic and folk horror.
Mhm. Totally. Do you consider yourself easily scared, or what do you consider scary? What scares you?
I would say I'm extremely easily frightened, which is one reason I was never drawn to the genre before. So I had seen maybe one or two horror movies before meeting you all and watching together. So I had seen The Ring, and that's one that I like just saw in the theater because I was like dating some man who thought that was a good date idea. And so I just like I have really really bad vision, and so I just like took off my spectacles and just was like looking like just generally I couldn't see anything. I was like I just could not, even the beginning of it was too scary for me. So yes, everything frightens me. So yes, I consider myself I'm one of those like horror like haunted house like ideal fans or whatever, like the person they want to come into the haunted house because I will just jump and squeak and scream at everything. So yes, I'm like the audience for anything frightening because it will frighten me.
I
So
thought I was the
yes.
only one who did the glasses trick, so I guess there really are no unique experiences. Because my friend took me to see The Collector, which is, like, one of those torture porn horror movies. It was done by the guy who did Saw,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
was so upset in that movie, I took off my glasses, but I could still hear, like, the screams and, like, the wet noises of, like, gore, so I, like, ran out of the theater and, like, hid in the bathroom for, like, 20 minutes.
Oh yes, I did that too. I
Oh
took a
my
very
gosh.
long bathroom break, like moseyed by like the popcorn stand. Oh, it was just like
Yeah,
so scary, man. So I didn't, you know, that famous scene, like spoiler alert, but she comes
yeah,
backwards out of the TV or whatever, or frontwards. Anyway, she comes out of the
Yeah.
TV in like a creepy, weird way. I didn't even see
yeah.
that. Like the audience around me was like, but I had my glasses off and I was just like there. So yeah, it just like helps because like yeah, it was so scary to me. So I haven't
Aw.
seen a lot of like
Mm.
the classics like the old possession, like the Jason movies, the Freddy Krueger movies, the I don't know, the one where she like spins in a circle movie. Like I haven't seen any of
Oh,
those. Yes,
Exorcist.
yeah, I haven't seen any of those. But yes,
Yet.
very
You
easily.
haven't
Yeah.
seen them
I haven't
yet.
seen them yet. Yes. So everything we have watched, I think, has frightened me. Or like that one clown one, that was more like disturbing than frightening. But
Oh, It? Was it It?
no, remember the one we watched? It was like very like intellectual.
Was it the circus?
Yes, the circus part. Yeah.
Oh,
That
oh
one
god.
that one was more disturbing than scary, but it was unsettling. It was very unsettling. But yes, everything else has frightened me.
It was the carnival, the Devil's Carnival, I think, the g
Yes.
one done by Repo, the genetic opera guy.
Yes, yes, that one was
Yeah.
very unsettling. So yes,
Cool.
very easily frightened. Although Rebecca and even the 1940 Rebecca like that did have a few moments where I was you know unsettled. It's not a traditional like super scary horror movie, but there were some moments that were just like frightening to me. So yes.
That's
Yeah.
actually a great segue into our next question
Oh
because you're
yay.
not a horror author, but you are a dark romance author, and sometimes your heroines are scared by what's going on. So, how do you, as an author, engage with fear in your writing?
I I enjoy so like I think one of the questions which I'll like segue into, but like one of the questions was what is the impression or what do you want the end result to be of like reading one of your books or whatever. So for
Mhm.
me, like want to be like I can't believe like I'm sort of horrified that I was rooting for this like situation is like one of like it in a you know jovial way, but I'm like I'm shocked that I enjoy this, like I'm horrified like I shouldn't have enjoyed this type of thing. But I would say I enjoy writing something where the female main characters are frightened and survive. So it's like if they're not afraid at least a little bit, then it's not like I usually like I'm trying to think of any of my books, and there's almost always a moment where they're either running or they're fighting or they're escaping, and there's just that moment that I love to write where they just are just flat out like panicky. So I guess I do enjoy writing like a little bit, like a tiny snippet of horror in there. And so just the idea is that they're facing it, like as the reader, you're facing it, the fear, and then you're in a safe location, and you can do whatever you want with that situation, and you're like coming out. safe at the end of it, I guess. Does that make sense? So,
Yeah, I
Mhm.
love that.
yeah.
Actually, I think your book, The Serpent, is like a perfect example of that because I feel like that does kind of verge on Gothic. And like
It
that
does
hero really put
verge.
her through it.
Yeah, so with that, like, I feel like I write a range, like they're all, campy, but there's a range of like how frightening each of like the male main characters are. So, or like how cruel or how frightening or whatever. And so yeah, so there's somewhere where he like where his I don't even know why I find this hot. I should have researched this exam before but like the idea of him like trying to scare her is very hot to me. And yes, and that one I feel like that's the most of almost all my other ones is just like he's trying to unsettle her, and he's like trying to almost like the modern experience of where we're watching a horror movie to be afraid. That's what he's trying to give her. Like he is trying to create like a very frightening situation. So I don't know. I find that hot. I guess so. He's the MMCs are kind of trying to create a frightening situation. They're trying to drive that fear. They want that fear. So
They want to be their heroine's scary movie.
exactly. They're trying to be like the haunted house. So yeah, but not in a cute way, just in a way that's very improper. Yeah, but yes, exactly. So, and it's the same for me, like as reading like horror or thriller or anything like that. It's just I love facing the monster and in a safe place, and then overcoming the monster. So yeah, I don't even remember what your question was because I like went on with that, but yeah.
Oh, you answered it. It was
Okay, good,
how do
good.
you engage with fear in your writing?
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like you do a really good job of developing this sense of fear. Like you really can empathize with the character. I think you do a good job with developing and establishing a sense of fear in your books. And also, I think maybe, I don't remember how we became friends, but what I consider the start of our friendship is you had put together a chart of the stabbiness of Nenya's heroes.
Oh yes, I did. I will
I
stand by
still
that
have
The
that.
different
chart.
I saved it on my phone and I post it like every couple months or so because I love it.
I will stand by that chart. And it was so funny. I remember because somebody once said, like, they were like, I forget who, they were like, whoever was listed as like one stabbing or whatever. Um, who did I remember who I put as one knife? I think I
I think
put,
it was Nicholas was
yes, Nicholas,
one.
yes. And they were like, if he's like the lowest, like, what's the top or whatever? They were like, I
And
don't know if I can go anymore.
he probably gained a knife after the sequel because he did stab someone like in the
He
hand
did,
in book
but
two. So
but
no,
he showed his like full range of personality too. Like he also showed his like softer side too. Like his
He's not just a knife. He's not just a stabber.
he is a stabber, but he like has a well fleshed out like whole like redemption arc. I bought it anyways.
oh,
He was
thank
fully
you.
redeemed for me.
I'm so glad.
It made me think of that because you were saying that your heroes have a different level of, each have a different, varying levels of meanness.
Yeah, I like it. Sometimes I don't know because how helpful it is, but I try to be like, okay, this is the worst, this is the bet or whatever. So I did that with my cheating pen name too. Like, this is like the most redeemable cheater, maybe, and then like the least redeemable cheater, maybe. So I don't know. It's all very subjective, but still, it like gives somebody a starting point if they're looking. But you know what? I always do because some people are like, I want to support you, but I don't for your books, like I want to support you, but I'm too scared to read DR, whatever. So I always have the one recommend that you co-wrote too. That way it's like, okay, you can always read this, the domestic drama. So shove that one in there.
Yeah, I find myself like when people say that to me about yours, like the one I always like, well, there's two, like Moonshine Savage and Her Drag Barbarian, because I
Mm,
feel like Moonshine Savage is kind of like old 70s style camp, but like
mm-hmm.
with some dubcon in it, and like Her Drag Barbarian is just hilarious. Like it's so funny, like even though he kind of does some super questionable. I was telling my mom about it actually in a Costco parking lot and she does not like romance at all, but she was like, that sounds fascinating. Like, I almost want to read that. So you almost made a sale out of her. So,
I know that one. I feel like he's one of the sweeter ones for sure. I have a
Bo,
hard time guess. Yeah, I have a hard time like But for me, he's like one of the sweeter ones, I think. But yeah, I love that one because like I tried really hard to make sure that, you know, it was clear that she was attracted to him in all his like his gender presentation, like when he, you know, in all ways she's attracted to him, so that there was no
I
like
thought you did a really good
there
job.
was
Yeah.
no like idea that she was, because you know there's a trope that's like straight for her. So I tried to
Yeah.
make
Hmm.
it kind of emphasized that this was like a bi awakening. You know, he's not attracted to men. He is just attracted to women and men, and he's also obsessed with her specifically. So that was like
No,
the line
the
I was trying to.
pronoun switching and the way that you really emphasized that like he had always considered himself gay and that this was like a new experience for him that
Mm-hmm.
maybe he'd only had like little twinges of before. I thought you did a really good job.
I think the pronoun
I
switching
agree.
is so hot. We've talked about this before, but like I love like femme alphas and, you know, gender fluid and femme alphas. I just love that. And it's like harder to me. It's harder to find. So, but I love reading any of those. So yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
How do you balance writing and family time?
Well, I think I actually posted about this on Threads, but like my husband, like it's a gamer like reader combination, and so it's very cozy to do that. You know, it's like he's playing his game and I'm like writing or reading on the couch. So it's like, to me, like
Aw.
authoring can be like a lonely, I guess, internal experience, but also like for me it does feel social to write, I guess, because either because I'm constantly on like threads all day or like posting about it, or just like I feel like all day long I'm texting or talking my writing, whether it's like in person or online. And so to me that makes it not feel like oh like it's the lonely profession or whatever, because I don't know, just because like with social media, um I feel like I have a community when I write. But yeah, just in person I write in like little bursts all day long. I don't know if that's like most effective, but it works for me. So it's like a little burst here, and I've got like multiple work in progresses that I'm working on. So like a little burst here, a few sentences there. So which is good because I know a lot of people can't work until they can sit down and like write like for an hour or so. But so for me, I just like do tiny little. And then when I'm doing teaching, sometimes I'll be teaching online, and I'll like do a grade a paper and then write a little bit. So yeah, just like little chaotic bursts all day. So yeah, that's how I balance it.
You're so productive. I'm really
I
impressed.
don't, I don't know. I don't feel very productive. I feel like, yeah, but I appreciate that because it feels. I just try to write every day. For me, I do. It's weird, and I try to take time off, and it's hard for me to take time off. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like it's just like I just like want like my mind is just like worrying around with the next idea. But so yeah, but I don't write a ton every day. I just write like a small amount sometimes each day. But so yeah.
It's super cool. I love hearing how about different writers' writing
Yes,
habits
me
that
too.
we've
I
gotten to
love
talk
hearing
to.
about how people do it. I love it too because I know some people like they'll hyper focus on one book and like get it done, and then like take a rest period for, you know, months, and then work on another one hyper focus. And so I think it's really interesting too. I
That's
love
me.
hearing about different. I love hearing about everyone's process because there's no like right or wrong process. It's just like whatever is working with your brain. So
So you kind of touched on this already, but what do you hope readers take away from your books?
I mean, really, I guess the main thing is just to enjoy yourself in a, you know, in a little fast-paced novella. Just the idea that you're like kind of horrified and shocked by the content, but also enjoying yourself, like that mixed together would be like the ideal. Just like I can't believe I'm into this behavior, which in the real world is very improper and inappropriate. So in the fictional book world, I'm enjoying myself. So like that kind of like I don't know, just like you know, but also rooting for it because I always love when people tell me things like that. Like I, you know, this man who's wearing like a necklace of her hair, you know, it's like I can't believe I'm rooting for this freak with a hair necklace, you know, of her and that kind of thing. So it's like I always get a kick out of that because
And the teeth bracelet, don't forget.
yes, the teeth bracelet, and I mean he's really doing it, you know, So for like the Kate Raven pen name, like the main theme is like obsession and devotion. And so I just love to see in what crazy ways, or horrifying if they were in the real world, what crazy or horrifying ways can they show their like obsession. And some men love to just go into the dentist when you've had your wisdom teeth out and just take your teeth and take them home with them. I mean, so it's just, I enjoy thinking about all the different ways they can be obsessed. And some of them are slightly horrific, and I just enjoy that. But they're all deeply loyal and devoted. So yeah.
I think you do a great job expressing your heroine's horror at these things that these heroes are doing. But yeah, we love them anyway. We are rooting for them.
So, if someone were to ask you for 3 horror book or movie recommendations, which would you recommend, in addition to things that you, of course, have written?
So for horror movies, I would definitely say Marrowbone, Crimson Peak, and Midsummer. I would
Mm.
say those are my favorite 3 horror movies. The first one, well, so Marrowbone is Gothic, and Midsummer is folk, and Crimson Peak is Gothic. So I would say if you're looking for anything in that realm, those are 3 like A plus stunning movies. I love the setting, I love the acting. They were really well done and gripping and not too gory, right? We all remember, is it not too gory for the people who have not seen?
Yeah.
Not too gory. The suspense, or like the horror, is in like the characterization and the plotting and like the interaction between the location or like the setting and the people. So those are 3 that I love and I want to recommend. So for horror, Midnight Runes is a gothic horror that I would really recommend. And The Folk in the Woods by E.M. McConnell is also like folk horror. Not, it's definitely not, these are not romances. Well, the third one. So the third one is The Tale of the Abrams Witch by J.E. Erickson. And that one is, they're all 3 of those are some of my favorite books of all time. I love all 3 of them. So yeah, so
Ooh.
they're folk horror. Actually, they all do have elements. Yeah, they all have elements of folk horror, actually. Which is, yes, I love folk horror. So yeah, they all have elements of folk horror, and then 2 of them are, one of them is definitely gothic. So those are 3 that I really, really recommend. And 2 are indie, and 1 is trad published. So yes, I recommend
Amazing.
all of those. So they're like some of my like passionate favorites, and I have many other favorites as well. But those are 3 that I really enjoy. So
So what I'm hearing is you're going to come back and talk to us during folk horror season.
definitely, I definitely will, and I will probably have read even more. There's
Yay.
an author, Wendy Dalrymple.
Oh, yeah.
hmm
Yeah, Wendy
She does
Dalrymple.
pink. Okay, Wendy Dalrymple. She does pink horror, and I really enjoy her as well. I would really recommend her. She got like some novellas.
Oh,
I love
cool.
novella length stuff, and so yeah, I would really recommend her for sure. She's got some like body horror that's really cool, and she has a gothic horror that's really cool too. So
She's
I
also
really,
delightful on social media. She recommended High Spirits.
yeah, she does, and I love authors that talk about other authors' books and what they
Mm-hmm.
like to read, and she does that a lot, and I appreciate that for sure. So yeah, I like her too. But yeah, I really, and I think she
That's
has a new
awesome.
one coming out as well. So about the like a credenza, I think. Like I don't know if it's a
hmm
haunted like furniture item, but I am all in for it. So
She
yeah,
has another one coming out too called Bed Rot, which is like sex
I love
worker
the
horror.
title. I love that
Yeah.
title. I'll read that one too. I think I've
Yes.
read almost all her stuff actually. So yeah, those are some
That's
of my
cool.
horror faves. So yeah. Oh, Blair Cousins
That's
is another
awesome.
one. I would recommend Blair Cousins. She has a variety of like shorter and longer books too. She has a really, I think it's called Deerhead. Deerhead is
Ooh,
one, and
I like
it's
that title.
freaking. It's just so scary. Yeah, so I would recommend her, and I think that one is free actually.
Ooh,
Deerhead by Blair Cousins is free online, and it was scary. It's a folk horror one too. So yeah, that's my weakness. What can I say?
Very cool. Okay, so we're going to move on to talking about the movie and also the book because we all did read the book. So, in the tradition of our show, we would like to invite you to do a 60-second recap of the work, Rebecca. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't worry, we will do it. But if you want to give it a shot, it's fun.
I can do it. I can do it in less than 60 seconds too.
Okay,
I'm,
I
I'm
would love that. Okay, I'm going to count you off. Okay, ready, set, summarize.
Okay, so Rebecca is about a young, naive woman who meets a tall, mysterious man named Maxim de Winter. She falls madly in love. He takes her back to his glorious, manor home out in the country, and a lot of mysterious and strange things start happening. And there's a big mystery surrounding this man's first wife, Rebecca. The end.
You have like 30 seconds left if you want.
um, so I don't want to. I don't know if we want to spoil it or whatever, but
We can spoil it.
oh, we can
It's
spoil
fine.
it. Okay, spoiler alert. He killed her. That's the mystery. According to him, it's an accident. So yeah, because she was cheating on him. But yeah, so she's basically comes into the house.
10 seconds.
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of creepy and mysterious things. Eventually, what happens is the truth comes out, and the home burns down, and they flee and live together.
So you did wow, you really encompassed
Because
the
like I
entire
breathe,
book.
like I'm fairly brief because like I write this short novellas. I write such a bare bones outline or like first drafts that have like be like chunked up
Concise.
afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. And I love the premise of that book. Like the hook of that book is probably my number one hook I'm weakest for. So the hook is where you, whether you're like an employee or a wife or a concubine, I'll take a concubine. Right? You're anybody going to a mysterious manor with a mysterious man. That is like the hook that will sell me on like any book. I will fall for that hook every single time. So
Same, honestly.
I know, like, some people always say, "Oh, like I am so sick of XYZ trope." Like I am not sick of that trope, and I probably will never be because it just it speaks to me, and it's probably my number one most favorite trope is just that mysterious man, that mysterious manor, and you're thrown off of your game, or you're new at the manor. So yeah, I love it. I love it, and I want 100,000 more of it. So.
Same. So this
Mm-hmm.
kind of answers our next question a little bit, but why did you pick this movie? Like, what about the movie, apart from your favorite trope, really spoke to you and made you want to talk about it today?
I liked it because I thought it'd be a good one for us to talk about because it's a classic and I had never seen it, and so I wanted to think about how it differs from the book. And I love when y'all do the classics. Like I like you did the creature from the was it Black or no creature from the Black Lagoon. So
Mm-hmm.
I love when you do the classics for the podcast, and so I thought it'd be cool to do another classic of the genre. So although it's not incredibly scary, so yeah, it is very suspenseful, but it's not incredibly scary. But I think it does. I think it would fit in the horror genre. Do y'all think it is like an imposter in the horror genre, or do you think it fits in the horror genre?
You're actually touching on the next two questions, which are, was it scary? Well, this is perfect because I want to get through a few movie questions, but then what I really want to do is just like talk about the book and the movie and the substance of it. But yeah, was it scary? Why or why not? Is it horror? And we can also even rope into that, like, how did the film creators, or Alfred Hitchcock in this case, try to evoke or manipulate the audience's fears?
Mm.
What do you think?
Because I think you all do like a out of 10 scale. Is that right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about the rating.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, like if one is like I don't know, like if one what is one like if one is like Teletubbies, like no, if one is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and 10 is like
Mhm.
something really scary, I would put this one like maybe like a 3 or 2 or 3 maybe. I don't know. Like if one is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, then this was like a 2 or 3. So it did have some like like chilly type moments, like when Mrs. Danvers is like just like popping out of nowhere with this like you know intense, scary face. But that's what I would say, like 2 or maybe 3 out of 10 or whatever. But it is very atmospheric and gloomy and vibey, but it's not too many jump scares and it's not super scary. But I think it does have a lot of horror elements.
Oh, the final scene is pretty scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. And there was a couple earlier scenes, like when she first comes into the manor to Manderley, that are scary too.
For me, the most unsettling scene was, like, when they're in Rebecca's old room and, like, Mrs. Danvers is just, like, caressing everything that has never been
Mm-hmm.
touched all these years, and then, like, later telling her to jump out the window to her death at the party. I'm like, "This is, like, some dark shit, like, going on in
Mm-hmm.
this movie."
It's very
Yeah.
unsettling. That final scene where she's just the flames, which I thought was very impressive for 1940 too. Like the special
Yeah.
effects were very
Yeah.
impressive. But yeah, that final scene when she's going up in flames and she's like, she is going to stay in Manderley where Rebecca is like where not the essence of Rebecca, but she's going to stay where Rebecca was, to the end.
Mhm.
So that was a chilling scene at the end for sure. Yeah, and they're just like all standing outside and watching her go up in flames as well as Manderley. So, and I don't know if it's Rebecca or Mrs. Danvers who got the last laugh, but I mean, one of them did
Mhm.
really, because you can see from the beginning that Maxim is not like over losing Manderley. And
Yeah.
good,
Mhm.
good. He should be tortured. But yeah, he does not like. It's not like, oh well, like let's take the insurance money and run or whatever. He Manderley is such a big part of him that he's not over it at all. So
Mhm.
so I guess that was one of the questions. I think was like, did she get the last laugh? And I think she did. They both did, Mrs. Danvers and
Rebecca or
Rebecca.
Mrs. Danvers?
I feel
Both of
like
them.
together they did. I mean, together, and they like wounded him for life, right? Or am I being like overly dramatic? But I
No,
feel like
no,
they
no. I
did
think they,
take a chunk out of him for life, and he's always gonna miss
as he
Manderley.
deserves.
He does deserve it. Although I agree he was hot, but he does deserve it. So yeah, they took a chunk out of his flesh, and that's gonna be permanent. That's what I think.
What did you guys think of the ending in the book versus in the movie? Because if it was implied in the book, I didn't take that away that Mrs. Danvers stayed in the house. Like I thought she lit the house on fire, but I
Mm.
didn't. I don't know if she stayed in the house as it was burning, or if she just was like, "I'm going to burn it and leave." But clearly in the end of the movie, like she's in there, she's
Mm-hmm.
literally going down in flames. What do you think, what was your impression of the end of the book, and what did you think of the ending of the movie?
I thought it was a good. I thought it was true to the characters in the book, and I thought it was a good. I mean, obviously, it's not the same way where like they're watching her like that, but I thought it was true to the characters.
Hmm.
What do you think, Nania? I thought it was true to the characters, and it was a very powerful image because even if you don't see her going down with the house, she does go down with the house. So I liked it. I like that. I thought it was pretty book accurate in general. But
Agreed.
I thought the movie was interesting in the fact that it really played up the relationship between Rebecca and Mrs. Danvers in a
mm,
way that the book was more subtle about, which
mm-hmm,
is actually
mm-hmm,
really interesting because, like, as you may or may not know, I'm like really into vintage pulp. And like around this time period, sapphic vintage pulp was very popular. But there was one rule that the lesbian couples couldn't end up together. There couldn't be an HEA. So one of them had
oh,
to have like a straight awakening or like one or both of them had to die. And so I did
mm,
wonder if that was
Wow.
why they killed off Mrs. Danvers in the
mm,
movie because she was, it felt to me like she was being very like sapphic coded in the movie
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and maybe to get like past the Hays Code, they felt like they needed to punish her for that or
mm,
punish her. I mean, she
yeah.
did get the last laugh eventually, like we said with Maxim, but
Yeah,
I
I did
did
not
wonder if
think of
that was
that.
the reason.
That is a good thought. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. To me, the movie is even more emphasizes the sapphic undertones. I
It
do
really
think.
did feel like she was in love with her employer, like that they had a very
Hmm.
close relationship, and that could have been one of the things where Maxim was like, "She did things I can never talk about." I'm like, "Oh, so
Hmm.
maybe she
The
had a
erotic,
relationship."
the
Yeah.
erotic undertones were really strong. I thought, And I think I mean, I was like thinking, like, am I putting them in there in the book? But I think they're there in the book too. Like, that obsession she has with Rebecca, the reverence too, like, with all her things, like the reverence, the obsession.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely was. Which I'm kind of curious what the author would have meant, do you think? Like, um, what do you think she meant by putting it in there? You know what I mean? Like, do you think
Yeah.
she was making a statement of any sort by making, like, I don't know if it's subtext, like just having that be such a strong subtext, or what do you think the authors? Do you think the author had a goal, I guess, in mind in doing that? Like, was it part of like, oh, this is depraved, like this makes it extra depraved, Mrs. Danvers, or was it? Yeah, I don't know. Like, were we supposed to be sympathetic to her in the book? Do you think?
I feel like in the book, Rebecca was actually worse because, like, the movie left out the animal torture. Because, like, if I recall, she
Mm.
had, like, kind of tortured her horses, and so, like, from the way she was written in the book, I kind of assumed that she was, like, a high-functioning sociopath who hurt
Mm-hmm.
people for fun and, like, slept with men to, like, hurt him and maybe, like, women too, like, but it felt like she did a lot of things that were bad apart from, like, the sex stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably least objectionable, but,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I feel like Hollywood has a history of queer coding its villains, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
possible that maybe she knew
Mm-hmm.
that her audience would find that the most objectionable, and so maybe
Mm-hmm.
that was why it was implied to put, like, readers at unease.
Yeah, that's a good. Oh, yeah, I could see that. Just like see how, like, an extra element of how wrong it is. I guess
Yeah.
that's a good point. I mean,
I was going to ask because I know both of you have read more of Daphne du Maurier's books. Like based on what else you've read of hers, what was your impression like of the sapphic relationship based on those?
I don't remember now. I read the other one I read is My Cousin Rachel, and I do
Mhm.
not remember that being any queer coding in that. Do you? I haven't been a while since I read it. I don't remember it being in that one. That one is very
No.
good though, and I enjoyed it even more than Rebecca. But I don't remember there being any. I love books with like that queer subtext because it's so interesting thinking about how the author meant it and then how we can potentially take it as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just wish that Mrs. Danvers had directed this revenge, and she does direct it toward Maxim, but if she had just tortured him the whole time, I would have been so much more on her side. Instead of like an innocent like bystander. But she does torture Maxim as well at the end. But I mean, if it was, she takes it out on like the wrong person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I have sympathy, but also she takes it on the wrong person, so therefore I my sympathy is very limited, I guess. But the unraveling of the mystery, I think, is really well done in the book too, because you like piece it back layer by layer, like who is Rebecca, what, and I feel like we don't know at the end who Rebecca is. Still,
Mm-mm.
No.
we still only see like pieces of like either obsessed people or like who are probably putting her on a huge pedestal, or somebody who has a motivation to say the worst about her, which is her was Maxim. You know, so at the end I feel like we still only know bits and pieces of who she was. But
Well, it was also implied too, right, that she was kind of psychologically torturing, like, the developmentally disabled man who lived on the estate, like, threatening to take him to the asylum and, like,
mm-hmm.
predating on, like, the footman or something, like, there was, like, a young man who worked in the house where she was kinda stringing him along. And
Mm-hmm.
so it did kind of feel like she had this, like, if Maxim's to be believed, which I don't,
Exactly,
but,
yeah.
like, if his words are taken at face value, she did kind of act like a predator a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that I remember, and it was so different the first time I read the book a long time ago. Like, I remember definitely buying his story more, I guess. Like, I was like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, like this poor man, like of course this is what happened or
Yeah.
whatever. And so this
Mm-hmm.
time, like reading it for the second time, it was a lot more like, who am I hearing this information from? Like, Maxim does have a motivation to lie about Rebecca, and so how much of the stories he's telling about her are true, you know, and what is just his like attempt to like assuage his guilt at, or if he has any guilt, you know, like, or just make himself look better. I don't know. It's an interesting question to see
Mhm.
like how much of it is true because yeah, like you say, if we believe everything he says, then she's like straight up a psychopath, not a hot one, just like a gross,
Yeah.
vicious type of person. So,
And he was okay with a lot of that. Like, he said it was her
mm-hmm.
disloyalty that bothered him, and, like, I think earlier
Good
in the movie,
point.
it was talking about his honor and that how honor was everything to him and other old families, and so he was willing to, like,
Mm-hmm.
deal with her torturing this poor, like, mentally ill man, and he was
Mm-hmm.
okay with the animal torturing, but, like, he was like, "Just don't sleep with men where I can see them or, like, where anyone else can see them," and then when she broke that rule, he was like, "Okay, I'm done." So it's kinda like, well, is he also, like, a psychopath then? And he just
Mm-hmm.
happened to attract another psychopath who wouldn't play by his
Hmm.
rules.
That's a good point. Do
Yeah.
you think he was over her, like over Rebecca? Like how much do you think he was over her? I guess.
I do feel like he was less angry about the secret of Rebecca and more angry that she had one-upped him, which is like
Mm.
classic psychopath because they have like these rages where when people piss them off and like they take it as a slight, they want to get revenge for their hurt ego. And
Mm-hmm.
so she knew that the best way to mess with him was to tell him that she had been cheating on his house, like, in his
Mm-hmm.
family estate, hurting his honor to get him to kill her, and then I think when he found out that she was lying and that she actually wanted to die, I think that messed with him because it made him feel like she had won, so he hadn't avenged his honor, he had given her
Mm-hmm.
what he wanted, and I think that galled him because
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a psychopath.
Mhm.
I totally like I the way he married the second Mrs. De Winter was totally manipulative and deceitful and you know just it was psychopathic behavior how he was able to he did not give her enough information to be able to make like a fair choice or like a he did not give her enough information to be able to judge whether she should have married him or not. And maybe nothing would have mattered to her at the time because she was so in love with him. But he did not give her like enough information. He held information back and he was manipulative and he knew she was in love with him and he used it to his advantage,
And
to
I think that was very intentional. I don't think he
mhm.
saw them as equals.
No.
Yeah. I think I think it was flattering.
One thing I thought was brilliant that Alfred Hitchcock did, which wasn't in the book, was like in the car ride where he said like that he didn't want her to wear black satin and pearls
Mm.
because it would, I guess, make her seem older. And then when they're watching their honeymoon videos, she's wearing a black satin dress and pearls, the black satin dress with the flowers on it and a pearl
Mm.
necklace. And
Mhm.
she asks
Mm.
him like, does he like her dress? She ordered it just for him. And he makes like this look of disgust at it. And I'm just like, oh my God, she's wearing like what he told her not to wear. And he doesn't like it because she looks sophisticated and mature and not like the young little schoolgirl that he thought he married.
That was such a like,
Mhm.
nasty part at the beginning where he was like, "Never be 36, like just please never grow up." This is like so creepy. Like I'm not sure we ever know how old she actually is. So she's presumably an adult, but we never find out. I think her
I thought like
exact age.
20,
Does
like
Yeah.
it say
early
20?
20s, and he's in his 40s.
Yeah.
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 Let's like never be 36. Like it just will ruin you. It was like, oh my god, he's so. But Laurence Olivier plays
Well,
him
not just
so
that. He was
perfectly.
like, oh, sorry.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
just like when they were in the car, he's just like, if you were 36, you wouldn't be
I
here.
know, so creepy.
Gross.
Yeah, it
But
was
you were
like
talking about Laurence Olivier.
oh no, I was saying he did a really good job because that's one thing you don't see as much in the book, at least I didn't this time, was like the carnal pull toward him that she obviously
Yeah.
clearly felt. And so in the movie you can really see like with Laurence Olivier how charming and how smarmily charming he's being. You can see why she fell for him and how he manipulated her affections. So that part was I thought
Yeah.
he did an amazing job. He's such a good
Mm-hmm.
actor. It's
He
the
really is.
Jane Fontaine I think is her name. Yeah, she did an amazing
Joan
job. Joan
Fontaine.
Fontaine.
Yeah,
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 she did
yeah.
an amazing job too. It was
She
really
was
good.
so pretty, and I felt like they captured the perfect look where she wasn't like, like a stunning femme fatale, but she had a very youthful,
Mhm.
innocent, and cute look, and you wanted to protect her.
Yes, you
Or I
did. They
guess if
did
you're
such
Maxim,
a
you wanna
good
take
job.
advantage.
And
Yeah,
his like mustache was like this. I know, like we like to advocate for more mustaches just in romance, but like his mustache was just on point. That mustache,
impeccable.
it
Yeah.
really set the tone for the whole movie. Um,
Actually, yesterday was Mustache Monday, so that was very on trend since we watched it on a Monday.
it was. I know. I've seen like a growing trend of bringing some of those like mustaches back for some like more of the illustrate like cover art and like character art or whatever. So I'm like enjoying the trend or whatever.
Me too.
So, but Max, like I think I said this when we were reading the book, Maxim doesn't qualify to me as like a dark romance hero, or he's at least
No,
missing
he's
the part
awful.
I like, which is like the part where he's like they're obsessed with the female main character. The
He
whole
doesn't even
book,
like
no, he
her.
was giving like barely interested the whole book. Like it was just like he doesn't like her, he doesn't prioritize her, he doesn't even really seem to care. Like I kept being like, why did he even bother to marry her? Like he barely even sees
Mhm.
her. I mean, it was like such a mediocre connection, like with him. So in that sense, like I don't see him as like a dark romance. I guess
Wasn't one of his first gifts to her, like, a re-gift from, like,
uh,
Rebecca? Like, it had her name in it, right?
it was so
Oh, the
half-ass.
book,
Of poems, right?
the poetry book, yeah. A book of love poems, which let's talk about that because I think it's really interesting that, like, I think that I was under the impression, maybe I was wrong, that Rebecca had given him that book of love poems. How do you interpret that?
I mean, I guess one way is like trying to replace her. I guess either he's just like you said, a jackass who re-gives. I think also one another way to look at it is like he is. This is his level of care for her is like very low level. He's not going to put a lot of effort forth. So this is just kind of showing that their like levels of affection for each other are wildly disproportionate. He is barely invested and she is like maximum in love, but he is not in love even though he
Mhm.
gave her like love poems. So like he's not in love. He's going to marry her, but he's not in love with her and he does not really care for her. That's how I saw it, but
I want to ask, what do you make of Rebecca giving Max the book of love
oh,
poems?
that's a good question. Are we supposed to see it as her like manipulative, or are we supposed to see it as they were in love once or something? You know what I mean? Like, does it show this
Yeah.
is what was lost, or does it show she's always been trying to manipulate him with these love poems, but really she's out like you know with other men, that kind of thing? Like, is it a manipulative tactic, or is it just a lost love type of tactic? So I don't know. That's my take on it.
Nania, what did you think?
I have a more sinister take on both. So, like, the butler in the movie said that the library wasn't usually lit, which suggested to me that Maxim wasn't a big reader. So it kind
Mm.
of felt like, maybe she gave him the book because she knew it was something that he wouldn't like. But
Mm.
she's playing like 4D chess. And so a wife giving her husband a book of love poems kind of ties into her lore and makes her seem very classy and tasteful and elegant. But really, she's fucking with him because that's what they clearly like to do to each other is like fuck with each
Mhm.
other and try to get the upper hand. And I feel like Maxim giving our unnamed heroine the book of love poems is almost like Bluebeard handing his wife like the red key, where he's almost daring her to ask because it has his wife's
Mm.
name in it. Of course, she's going to
Mhm.
ask.
Mhm.
And, like, maybe deep down, he wants to test her love for him to see, like, well, does she really love me? Would she still love me if she knew what I'm capable of? And
Mm.
if not, maybe I'll get a third wife. And
Yes, I am so into that. Did you ever read the sequel one, the unauthorized sequel or whatever?
I actually have it, like, right here. I'm gonna take it with me on vacation, but,
Beautiful.
like, so I feel like the author really hates Maxim because it just
Fair.
seems like the heroine's kind of done with his shit. And I heard
Mm.
he gets killed off, which
Mhm.
I would be a fan of if true. What do we
Mm.
think the heroine's name is, by the way? Because like I know there was like a lot of mystery around that, and it was kind of hinted at a couple times that like I guess there was like a male name that sounded like it, and it was old
Mm.
fashioned.
Hmm.
And it's exotic. I think someone mentioned it like, oh, this is an unusual name.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hmm. I wonder what to make of that. I wonder if the name is supposed to show like, not that we know it, but like her origins in any way, maybe like, is she supposed to be, is she coded as any particular group of, like any particular kind of people, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think what
Hmm.
that could have been like a clue for, to say it was like a different sounding name, you know?
I almost thought of it as being like she's not common. Everything about her is common, but this name that we never
We never learned.
discover
Hmm.
is not common. So she's not really like this person that, everyone perceives her to be.
I had 3 theories. I thought it would probably be something like Francois, because then people would think it was Francis, because she was saying it was always getting spelled wrong, or Ashley,
Oh.
which used to be a male name, but then became a female
Mm-hmm.
name much later. I think around the time that this book was written was when it was starting to become more of a feminine name, but it was still both, because I remember Gone with the Wind, the other love interest was named Ashley, or
Mm-hmm.
something like Georgette, where it's like one of the French female diminutive names of a more masculine name.
Oh yeah, I think I
Those
like
are
that
great
theory.
guesses.
I like that theory. I think I had thought of it before as one of those like, Maxim doesn't care enough to know, not he knows her name, but it's like he doesn't care, and so we are like getting his lack of caring. Like, you know what I mean? Like in her head, what's the focus is Rebecca, and that's still what his obsession or his focus is too. And so it's kind of like she's always going to be secondary, even in her own book. I get to, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like she's
And
still
then there was
second.
that funny moment, yeah, where she like answers the phone and she's like, "Oh no, Mrs. De Winter is dead."
That made
Mm-hmm.
me love her so much, because, like, as someone with anxiety who overthinks everything, I totally would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
I
I
have
like
another
that.
question
But
for. Oh, no, no, no. You go ahead.
no, I'm just gonna say I like that idea. Like I like all those theories.
I have another question for both of you, and that is okay. So we hear so much. We hear about Rebecca from everyone. We hear about Rebecca from Maxim. What do you make of Mrs. Danvers saying that, like, Maxim used to, like, not only did he buy her the gifts, which I think you can, like, there are justifications for the gifts, but, like, he used to, like, brush her hair for, like, 20 minutes and keep the guests waiting while he brushed her hair.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that?
I mean, I think it's supposed to be like a contrast with the second Mrs. De Winter, right? It's like I don't remember seeing him do that for her, type of thing. So I think we're
Mhm.
supposed to wonder what exactly his feelings are toward her, and if he's like over her. Um, but I don't think he's over her. I think he's still obsessed with her and what she would think. And so to me, that's supposed to be like a contrast, like contrasting their behavior. But it's kind of interesting because that's a little bit in, I forget what year it was written, but that would kind of be seen as like more of an effeminate like type of gesture, don't you think? Like at the time, And so I'm kind
It's
of,
very intimate.
yeah, an intimate, and if at the time maybe more effeminate gesture. And so I'm kind of wondering, yeah, what, this is, he's not like dominating her, like he's a little bit like subservient to her and her like comfort, I guess. I don't know, that's interesting. What did you think?
Yeah. Nenia, did that stand out to you at all?
Yeah. I think Kate's right, like, the subservient element, like, it does make me feel like maybe she had something on him. Like, because it was always talking about how exacting she was. She ran the household. She was very specific about sauces and she wanted to control everything. And I think the relationship between Rebecca and Maxim does come down to control. It kind of feels like,
Mm-hmm.
they were two like violent exploding stars that were kind of caught in each other's orbits, and that there was almost like a humiliation element to all of
Mm.
their interactions where they were constantly fighting for control. So maybe she was blackmailing him, or maybe, he kind of got off on like the dynamic between them, and that maybe
Mm-hmm.
he thought it was fun to do these like almost humiliating things with
Mm-hmm.
her, like, that were anti-masculine in
Mhm.
the bedroom, and then she took it too far, and then suddenly it wasn't a game anymore, and he realized he didn't have control, and that
Mm-hmm.
made him furious.
Yeah, I could definitely see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Like, yeah, almost like trading control, or like trading who was on top, and he wanted a little bit of the ambiguity, but then she went too far with like the cheating. That's the one thing he couldn't, handle. Other things he could handle, but he could not handle that, I guess.
I interpreted it, I don't even think it was the cheating. She told him, she implied she was pregnant,
Mm.
and he was so obsessed with his legacy, where like that's something that he brings up, I think, even at the beginning, is he wants to pass on Manderley. He like
Mm.
man, and I think that's even more of Mrs. Danvers' revenge, is
Mhm.
like he can't pass on Manderley,
Mhm.
um, not just because he doesn't have an heir. Um, so that's very emasculating.
Mhm.
But yeah, that I'm very fascinated by men and their obsession with legacies, I
Mhm.
guess.
Do we think that Rebecca is, like, the embodiment of, like, the type of woman that men fear?
I mean, I
It's really interesting to me because she's independent,
Mhm.
she's like sexual in a way that like she doesn't need Max. She's mature. And I think, I don't know about her wealth situation, but she's very much like she's manipulating him, and I do think that that is something
She came from
that
a good family in the book. She was wealthy, she ran horses.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. Just the idea that this is what men fear, like a child from another man that you are raising, and then to be emasculated by your wife. Yeah, so I definitely can see that as being like a typical fear, I guess, especially for men of that era.
I think Sarah brought up a really good point about her being, like, independently wealthy and, like,
Mhm.
sexual and, like, having all this control where she didn't need the other man, and I think, like, Max needed to be needed.
Mhm. Yeah.
mhm. That makes a lot of sense looking at his relationship with the main character.
Mhm. Yeah, I could definitely, because like he like, especially in the movie, I like how it showed where he starts out so dominating, and then he like
Mhm.
just gets more and more throughout like the course of the narrative, more like dependent on her, so kind of like a reversal of their roles from the beginning, and her like love for him. It's like tempered a bit, at least. I mean, not that she doesn't love him, but it's it's not at the beginning where they had such an unequal power dynamic. Like their dynamic has shifted at least to where he is dependent, because with Manderley gone, he's emotional, whatever. I think it's gonna be more dependent on her, where because he doesn't have Manderley, and she's like gonna be the last connection to Manderley, I guess, really, because Manderley is gone, and she lived there with him, so she can like reminisce about Manderley. Well, the
Mhm.
beginning line is so crazy because it's like going back to Manderley, but like Manderley was literally the worst for her.
Yeah.
Like no
Mhm.
nostalgia for that. Like this was a horrible place where everyone hated me and was disgusting to me. But yeah.
This wasn't one of our prepared questions, but I have a question for you and Kate about the movie. Do you think that there is an end game between Max and our unnamed heroine? Like, what do you see like the next stage of their relationship looking like? Is there going to be an HEA, happily ever
This is
after,
a
for our
really good
non-romance
question.
listeners?
I love this question.
To me, I do too. Like to me, I feel like it's only happy for now because I feel like the same flaws in Maxim or in Mac I feel like the same flaws that doomed his relationship with Rebecca could also doom his relationship with the second Mrs. De Winter. I feel like he is like if she gets too powerful or too independent or too whatever, like I think the same exact like cycle could happen again. So it's one thing to have like a sweet little subservient in love wife, or to have like a wife who is strong, dominant, independent. So he does like the second one is more dangerous. And so I feel like this, as long as the second Mrs. De Winter is subservient, at least somewhat, she's safe. But the second she got, she would get more powerful or dominating or independent or whatever, she's at risk of his violence, I think. So I'm not, to me, it's not a happy ever after. It's only like a happy or like melancholy for now. But to me, like, I feel like their relationship has a lot of violent potential. and I do not see it as being stable or healthy. And in long term, I guess I could see it going only two ways. He totally crumbles because of the loss of Manderley. He crumbles just permanently, and he's just like weak and emasculated, or it just ends in violence. I guess those are to me like the two paths it could go down, but I don't see a path where it's like a really happy ever after, healthy happy ever after. So, what do y'all think?
I think I don't know exactly the direction it's headed, but I feel that ultimately, like our narrator is going to be 36 eventually. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she is even throughout the course of this book, she's growing more mature and she is seeing the world more clearly than with like the rose-colored glasses she starts out with. And I would like to think that eventually she's going to realize what a terrible person Maxim is and like leave him, or just like she's gonna empathize more with Rebecca,
Mm.
or even follow in Rebecca's footsteps a little bit more, not maybe not even intentionally, but just like that's clearly her. Even though she fears and hates Rebecca, that's clearly like her kind of her dream a little bit is how Rebecca is this mature person, this elegant, graceful, beautiful, loved
Mm-hmm.
person. Um But I think ultimately, yeah, either she's going to outgrow Maxim, or he's going to get creepily disenchanted with her
Mm-hmm.
because she's going to get older and more mature.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. I could see him. Yeah, I guess it's never been a strong relationship or love at all, and so it's not like a strong foundation to build on. It was started with manipulation and deception, and so just I feel like if Manderley hadn't, I feel like Manderley, you know how people, yeah, I feel like Manderley getting set on fire and getting destroyed is like prolonging the relationship for a while, but it has an
Mhm.
end date. I guess I don't know. That's what I think. Like it has an end date. I don't see it being happily ever after.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Nania, what's your take?
Oh god. Uh, I think that she has a higher emotional, like, intelligence than Rebecca did, and she doesn't have the same amount of pride. Like, I felt like there's, like, a little ray of hope when she manages him when he's telling her about the murder of his wife, and she's clearly scared, like, and terrified, but she manages to his emotions and reassures him
Mm-hmm.
first. And I don't think that was necessarily her telling him that she loved him. I think that was her making sure that he wasn't going to kill her next. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if she is going to survive this marriage, she's going to have to do what Henry VIII's kind of like last wife did at Catherine Parr, I think,
Mm-hmm.
where you just kind of have to indulge your crazy, murderous husband and like cater to his ego so you don't end
Mm-hmm.
up on the chopping block. And then like you leave when you can.
Yeah, exactly. So if she
Yeah.
outgrows him, then that like that what's it like balance will be thrown off. So she would have to consciously stay in that 20-year-old mindset with him. You know what I mean? Because that's what he
Yeah.
wants. So she'd have to consciously stay in that mindset to prevent like the balance from being totally thrown off. So yeah, that's a good
And I
point.
don't necessarily think he'd let her leave because she knows all of his secrets. So that's
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like she's kind of chained herself to this sinking ship.
Mm-hmm.
And reputation is everything to him.
Yeah.
So I realize that we should probably work our way towards wrapping up, but I have one more question for both of you. And that is like, so we've talked about that this movie does have its suspenseful moments, same with the book. Like, so what would you say is the main source of tension or fear between the audience and the film or the book?
I would say it's like the fear, like basically of the unknown in the house. So it's just basically she doesn't know anything because Maxim won't tell her. He will only tell her the minimum. So it's kind of like like she doesn't she's thrown in and doesn't know anything. So it's the uncertainty of what like everything she finds out is confusing, because she's thrown into this like deep end. So she tries to piece together who Rebecca is and what happened, and he's not helping her at all. And so everything she does is like stepping in a minefield, because things she wears, things she does, anything could set him off, and she doesn't know. So I think, yeah, it's like just
Mm.
the uncertainty of like not knowing what you've walked into, and the person who could tell you doesn't want to tell you. And when you don't know, you make mistakes, and they make him blow up, and it's very frightening. So to me, that's what it is. Just like like the unknown secrets are what that are between the two of them, are what like is the tension, the source of the tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nania, what did you think?
For me, I feel like it's a fear of safe spaces not being safe, because she's in this house, and a home is like where you're supposed to feel like you can come home at the end of the day and like be
Mhm.
alone and not have to worry. And like she's always watched, and like
Mhm.
everything is like a minefield, like Kate said, that could like cause her to embarrass herself or be under scrutiny. And also fear that, like, your loved one, your safe space, might want to kill you or hurt you, because
Mhm.
like there is the suspicion, even before his chilling confession, like that maybe his wife's disappearance was sinister. And
Mhm.
so I think it is scary, like when the people you love, who you think are going to protect you and take care of you, actually might want to hurt you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is really
What do
scary.
you think,
These are
Sarah?
both really good
Yeah, what
points.
do you think, Sarah?
I I think in the Gothic tradition, it's almost reading the book, you almost feel like Rebecca's ghost is like lingering or
Mm.
like hanging over, is present in the house because if we didn't know the ending of this book, it's totally possible, even Mrs. Danvers is saying like, do you think she comes back and do you think
Mhm.
she watches the two of you together? Um but like Rebecca is a presence in the house,
Mhm.
even though she's not, a spirit necessarily. Like she is kind of uh I don't know, hanging over everything.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm. I agree.
yeah, her presence lingers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. It's such a good movie because there's so much to analyze. The good movie and book, because there's just so many layers to analyze and talk about. It's it's
Yeah.
there's so much to like uncover with it. It's really good for that.
So Kate, I know you said you'd give it about a 3 for scariness, 3 out of 10. What would you give it for quality out
The
of
movie,
10?
like I would say,
Yeah.
I mean, if let's say 10 out of 10 is those three movies I said earlier, I would say probably 8 or 9 out of 10. Probably. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Like it's like I said this, but it's like it's both slow and suspenseful. Like there's a lot of like the pacing is leisurely, but you do still feel like that tension, like in the middle chunks of it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think? Like I would say 8 or 9 out of 10, probably, assuming that 10 is like Marrowbone, which or and Crimson Peak, which is for me those are like both 10 out of 10 movies. So it's like a little bit below
Mhm.
that, but still really good. That's what I think.
Yeah,
What
that's
do y'all? What
perfect.
would y'all rate it?
Nania, should I go or do you want to go
You
next?
go first.
Okay. Scariness, this is really challenging. I think I'm going to give it a 2 for scariness. The main scary scene for me was the final
Mm-hmm.
scene with Mrs. Danvers in the house.
Yeah.
People burning alive is always scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very, like, very well done scene. I
Mm-hmm.
think for overall quality, I'm going to give it an 8.5. And the detractors are because it could have been a 10 out of 10. I think it was perfectly cast. I think the cinematography, the shadow work was fantastic. But I fell asleep, you guys. I fell asleep during the
That's
movie.
what I'm saying. Like
And
the
also
pacing and that middle part is leisurely.
it is leisurely, and the other detractor is the music is kind of intense and it's like the constant.
Mhm. That's what we were saying too. It was like at the one point it felt very vintage, and I think it's cool that there was like a constant track, but at the same time it made it a little like the pacing wasn't consistent with the music. You know what I mean? Like the music
Mhm.
was constantly like intense music, but the pacing wasn't quite matching that. So I feel like the music was a bit overdone, but it felt very vintage. But yeah, it was a little like too much. I agree with that.
Nania, give us your rating.
I think I'd give it a 4 in terms of scariness. I felt like it made me pretty uneasy, especially, like, all the scenes with Mrs. Danvers, like, the one where she's stalking her down the hallway. I don't like people walking right behind me, so that would have
Mm-hmm.
freaked me out. In terms of overall quality, I'd say, like, 9 or 9.5. I really, really, really loved it, but the music and the pacing were a little bit off,
Mm-hmm.
but because the vibes were so immaculate, I can be gracious.
It was a really well done
Yeah.
movie. I really liked this adaptation. I know that I think each of us has seen the more recent, the 2020 adaptation. Oh,
I
Nania,
haven't,
you haven't seen it.
surprisingly.
I don't think you need to.
Oh, okay. I heard it was spicy. Kate said it was spicy.
It is like, to me, like, you remember that last, well, do you remember that last scene where they're like in the mirror? I feel like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know if you want to, it's not really a spoiler, but it's like basically in that one, you can see Maxim is into her, if that makes sense. Like, it's a lot more
Oh.
DR coded. Do you agree, Sarah? Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot,
I
it's a,
agree. It was a Max apologist movie, and
yes.
I'm not for it.
Yes, it's a lot more like in this one, in the 1940 version, you can definitely see how all the affection and the love and the lust or whatever is going in one direction, almost solely. But in this one, the new version, you can definitely see like Maxim is attracted to her and he has a
Mm.
carnal pull toward her, and it's very much more DR coded. Um,
Yeah,
and so
there's a
Interesting.
lot more romance in
yes, yeah,
general.
it's a lot more romance, and so to me that's not necessarily that's not really accurate to the book, at least not what I got from the book.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed it, but it's definitely differs in that. Like there's a scene at the end, I don't know, well, spoiler, but there's a scene at the end where like they're just like embracing passionately, and it's kind of like, to me, Sarah, you can, I don't know if you agree with this, but like the vibe is like we're together in this sick twisted relationship, but we're both almost equals
Mhm.
in this like
Yeah.
Mm.
it's like it's depraved because she's like, it's a lot more like she is all in for him despite knowing this. So it's kind of like at the end there's a vibe of we're both
Yeah.
twisted, we're both sick, we're in our like sick little twisted love thing, and but we're both like really passionately like
So she
in
really
lust with each
is
other.
Rebecca 2.0 in
Yes,
that movie.
there's a lot more of that. It's a lot more like empowering. I don't know if it's empowering is the right word, but like it's a lot more. She has a lot more power in the new movie, and he is a lot more viscerally attracted and interested in her. And so there's a
Huh.
whole lot more.
Mhm.
We're not Bonnie and Clyde vibe, but like we're together in this vibe that is not really in the book or the 1940 version. What do you think of? Do you think Sarah like characterized it
I
accurately?
agree. I think you did. Yeah.
So it's more, it like differs, but to me you should watch this because that way we can talk about it and we can see what your opinions are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, like this one is more book accurate, but the new one is more like gives, yeah. So I'd be curious what you thought of it, but yeah, I enjoyed it, but I agree with Sarah, it's not as book accurate, and it's not. Did you think it was as scary as this one? What did you think?
I don't think so. I think I would have enjoyed it more going into it, not seeing it as an adaptation. You know, like with the Harry Potter books and the movies, like I like to think of them as separate entities.
Mm,
Like you enjoy the books for one thing,
yeah,
you enjoy the movies separately.
yeah.
I think if I had approached that film with like, okay, like I'm not getting the same product as the I don't want to say it's an unfaithful adaptation because I don't think that's true because there's a whole question of what a
Mm-hmm.
faithful adaptation is. And as someone who went to school for translation, that's my favorite question. Um,
I
but
think you're definitely right. We're supposed to
I
root for him at the end, like you said.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely more romance. So I think if I had gone in like with a different expectation of, or if I hadn't read the book,
Mm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
maybe I would have. But I think rewatching it, knowing what to expect, I might enjoy it more, but also maybe not because Army Hammer is a terrible
I,
person.
I
Yeah.
think
So
I watched it like pre like all of that, so that was good. But yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably harder
Hmm.
afterwards. But yeah, to me, yeah, he played that role really well in the sense of he is very sleazy. Like he has a good sleazy vibe, which to
Hmm.
me Maxim is very sleazy, and so that part worked really well. But yeah, it's a lot more
Yeah.
like dirty, lusty type of vibe. So yeah,
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
so yeah, if you see it, tell us all about it.
Okay.
Please. Yeah, we report back. We can do a update on the
Yeah.
podcast. Rebecca update.
And I would love to hear how he gets killed off in the sequel.
I'll give
Yeah.
you guys updates as I'm reading because, like, I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of thoughts while reading it, and I might
Yeah.
need to, like, have my emotional support group.
I know, and if you
I'm
like
so
it, I will
excited.
buy it too because I always do that. Of like, oh, that other Gothic we're reading too. I bought that one, and I'm like, I haven't started. I need to start that one too, but
Oh, Paul Marham? Yeah,
I need
same.
to
I
read
put
that
it
one.
down and then I forgot where I put it.
I know, like I have like usually I read almost everything as ebook, and so my physical books I'll put down too, and I'm like, where did I do that? So yeah, ebook and physical are just different times of the day, different vibes. So yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. I love that. That was a great movie. That was a great book, and that was a great like way to contrast them and think about the different
It was
themes, with the themes that are emphasized in each one. So yeah,
fantastic suggestion.
thank you
Yes.
for having me.
Where can people find you and your work?
If you like dark romance where the guy is super unredeemable, but it's also campy and it's a short novella and you're okay with non-con, you can follow me on Amazon or Instagram. I think it's just Kate Raven on either one of them. Yeah, and on Instagram, yeah, I think it's Kate Raven. So yeah, so if you enjoy those
Kate Raven
things,
books.
then you can follow me on either one of those, and it'll update with my latest publications.
Anything else you'd like to share about you or your works? Fun facts.
Oh, no! Now you put me on the spot. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, wait, I did not prepare for this question. Let me think. Okay, wait. I have an idea. Okay, wait. I do have a good one. So, my favorite of my own books. I'll do that one. Yeah. So, my favorite of my own books is Moonshine Savage. Um, my friend Dana's favorite of my books is Such a Good Guy. So, those are two that I would like. I guess if people like, where do I start? That's where I would start, I guess. Because that's my favorite one. And the other one is one where he's a little more like um he's a little more sweeter in that other one. So that's what I think the sweetest one.
Has a hair necklace.
Yes, but he's very sweet. So yeah.
Yeah. Very
So
sweet.
that's where I would start if you ever want to dip a toe into it. Yeah.
All of your books are my favorite.
Thank you.
Honestly, you as a person are my favorite, so.
Thank you. I know. I think I remember with both of you, like I remember Sarah, you were asking, and I was like, don't read this book. Like you do not want to read this book. Like I always try to talk people out of reading my books first because like I feel I don't I'm like, okay, just be sure you like this, and this or whatever. But
Yeah.
so I remember trying to talk you both out of reading them both times, and I was like, just me.
I have to say, because I think we're all kind of insomniacs. I've been sleeping better this year, but like I read your books during a time in my life where I just had the worst insomnia, and I would like read them in a night, and they were perfect. Like, oh my gosh, they cured me.
Thank you. I know I do a lot of my reading like late at night too, and so I'm like a night owl as well. I think we're all night owls too, like in general. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's nice reading like that on like my Kindle or whatever, like late at night. The vibes are just so nice. So yes, thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Thank you for joining us. Come back literally whenever. We love you so much.
Yes.
And thank you all for listening to Horror/Stories. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you gave us a review or shared this episode with a friend. And if you're interested in being a guest on the show, you can find a link to fill out a guest interest form in our Instagram bio at horror/stories_pod. And we're going to be focusing soon on folk horror movies. So we're really excited about that.
And don't forget to subscribe to the show and to follow Kate Raven and us on social media. And thank you so much for listening, and we love you all.